hate that so much. Okay. So on this episode, it's going to be new and exciting. We have a new co-host. Her name is Noel. I have known her for a while. She's been in my life. Honestly, our relationship's really interesting, but we have always been really connected with each other. We've known each other. We've been in contact with each other through, I would say, middle school, high school, mostly in high school. We actually hung out and stuff, but we've always been very close and familiar with each other without having to actually be around each other that much. So it's always been like this interesting dynamic connection that we've had. She's always been just a kind of like keystone person in my life. It's just a really interesting relationship we've had, but nonetheless, she is a very amazing person to have as a partner on this podcast. And this episode's really going to be more about her. She's going to introduce her story, kind of give some background on what she's going to bring to the podcast, what she has experienced, kind of similar to my introductory video, the very first episode that I ever did. And yeah, welcome, Noel.
Hello. Hi.
I'm so excited to have you. This
I know.
is great.
I've been thinking about this for the past couple of weeks.
Yes, me too. We have definitely, I think it'll be good. Everyone else will get some more just I don't know, good conversations. And I feel like most of the feedback when we posted that we were going to bring you on.
We're so excited. It was cool.
Yeah. And we were excited. And then a lot of people we knew were like, holy shit, like this is going to be great.
It's fun to see people get excited.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Okay. So
I'm going to hit my little lava lamp really quick.
Oh, yes. Smoking is allowed on this podcast.
Give me some medicine here. All right.
Yes, let's get started. Start from the beginning. Just start timeline. When you were younger, spirituality, where did it tie in? And then we'll move into adolescence where things kind of pick up. But when you're younger, leading into adolescence, how were you?
Yeah, as a child, I had like some trauma as a child, which is a story for another episode. But I think that trauma really shaped me and really kind of has been consistently something I have to go back and reintegrate, like accepting that into my life. But as a child, I knew that I was different. I felt very special and like very, I don't know, just smart and like interested. I was very interested in being outside, playing with like toys. I didn't spend a lot of time on electronics, which I think that a lot of people from our generation didn't spend that much time with electronics because we grew up like right when
transition.
Yeah, it was a transitional period. So there was like internet and your parents probably had a computer, but mine was like in the locked cabinet and that sort of deal. But yeah, as a child, I think I felt different from other children. And I think because of my trauma, I did have some cognitive like differences as far as how I developed just as a response to what happened to me. But yeah, that's basically like as a young child, what I remember. Another weird thing about being a young child that I remember is I have specific memories of specific things happening, but they're all very weird and random. And from ages like 0 to 9, 10 years old is very hazy. I really don't remember. Yeah, it's like almost weird how much I don't remember, but nonetheless, I think that all of that ties into kind of like my growth spiritually and how I have developed thus far in my life. So
yes, I can relate to that 100%. I'm the same way, just like random shit. Like I remember when my parents first bought my first dog and then like random days, like just no correlation or like impact on me. It's like, why is this a core memory kind of shit?
One that I like, this is like probably one of my first memories that's like positive from when I was young. And I lived in this weird apartment with my mom in the basement of this like place. It was just me and her. And I just remember my two cousins which actually this will tie back in later when I talk a little bit more about my spirituality. My one cousin, and her older sister, they came and to my birthday, and I had a Barbie birthday cake, and it was like the cake was the bottom, the dress part.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Barbie was stuck in the top as like the topper. But it's very interesting. Yeah. Just those weird memories that you have.
Yeah, just weird random shit. All right. And then moving into like after that stage, so probably like middle school, high school, how do you feel like that related and tied into your spiritual experience now looking back into it? How did that time of your life kind of shape you? And I know that also led you into your experimentation with psychedelics. So cover that kind of thing, how your high school, middle school experience was, how that shaped you, and then how you kind of led into using psychedelics.
So around, well, when I was young, like, I don't know, between 5th grade and 8th grade, I think I was still, just kind of figuring stuff out. I had some really core friends that came into my life at that time that are still in my life now, which is awesome. Being in Spearfish from the age of like whatever 5th grade until after high school was super like influential for me to have some people in my life for that long. Like, I don't know, the people from Spearfish that are in my life, including you, in whatever capacity it may be, have been super influential for me and like taught me a lot. But around 8th grade, I started going to church and like youth group, and I would go to summer camp, New Boydak summer camp. It's like Nebraska, Wyoming, Dakota. So that's where the people came from. And yeah, I don't know. But
did you
like,
go to the same church as me?
I went to North Point.
Okay, no.
It
I
was
thought
like,
you went to I went to the Lutheran church.
I used to go to the Lutheran church with like some of my other friends from high school or
Right.
from middle school. And like, I don't know, I would go to youth group with a lot of my friends randomly, but then I really started going to this one youth group, and like, I went probably, it might even been 7th grade that I started, but somewhere in that time. And I would go on like these retreat trips with the youth group and go to summer camp and stuff. And it was just really interesting because at that time I was having what I now would consider like almost out of body, or like, I don't know if that's quite the right word, but just really spiritual experiences where I felt it in my whole being, like super overwhelming feelings of just like gratitude, happiness, love, really accepting like everyone around me and just feeling that love like tenfold. And I sang in the church like choir band thing that we had on Sundays, and a lot of those experiences for me were really beautiful, and a lot of the lessons that I learned at church were things that I resonated with.
I know you mentioned getting baptized.
Yes, yeah. So I got baptized in Spearfish Creek, and I decided to do that my junior year, I believe, junior or sophomore year of high school. I chose to get baptized. My parents didn't influence me at all. In fact, they really didn't go to church until I started going to church. And that, I think, for me at the time was like a super spiritual experience for sure. You've swam in Spearfish Creek. It's not the warmest creek ever. So getting dunked in there, it really did feel like that was my first like spiritual kind of like rebirth of like really just understanding that how important love is, I think. And I went on a mission trip to Haiti while I was a part of that church. That was really amazing and really influential for me as well. Anybody who's been to a third world country, or even like, I don't know, Mexico, you see parts of those countries that are like so much. There's even parts in the United States that are really hard to see, but it just changes your perspective a lot, especially as a young person. I just eventually decided to kind of stop going to church and stop being Christian. That happened around like my probably around the end of my junior year is when I like started questioning some things about Christianity. And then senior year is when I really was like not interested anymore, and I didn't go to church anymore, and I kind of separated myself from my church. So junior year, I started smoking weed, and
Rock on.
kind of changed perspective for me, because all my life I've been told, like, dare, don't do drugs, blah blah blah.
Growing up in Spearfish, South
Oh
Dakota.
my gosh, I'm like, okay. Then I do weed and I'm like, wait, I didn't die or get pregnant. Now
Right.
what?
No, I didn't. Or that, you remember that commercial where they're like, what happened to her? She smokes weed now. And she's like meshed into the couch and she's like a piece of paper. That shit's so funny. Just thinking about all the shit we learned. Or like in Dare, I thought people were
Yeah,
gonna come up to me
I
and offer
remember.
me weed. It's like, bro, people do not offer me weed. I had to go find that shit.
People do
So
not
you
offer you
totally
drugs. Just
led
like
me
you don't put
astray.
drugs in your kids' Halloween candy. That shit's expensive.
Bro, right. Like I'm not gonna give away free edibles. Sorry. Like, sorry, Nancy, not gonna happen.
I know.
God.
Um,
But how did that leeway into, because started smoking weed?
started smoking weed. So yeah, and then back on track here. Started smoking weed, and then that kind of was like, okay, well, what else like have people been lying about? Basically, like what other things have people lied about? And I had my first acid trip the winter senior year. That was a super spiritual experience for me. That's a whole story that I would love to tell, but not right now because it's long. And
We'll both go into it. We'll have an episode on our first psychedelic
that
experiences.
would be a
Who were
great.
you with? Were you with Tyler?
Yes, I was with Tyler. I was with a couple of Tyler's friends, Riley, Billy, um, and then Amber and Lucas.
Okay.
So
The
we
squad.
were all together. Yep. And really, I spent most of my time with Tyler that night, but uh it was at night. We ended up taking it like, I don't know, 1 o'clock or 12:30 in the morning. We took it super late. We were up all night. And basically that whole night just really solidified. Oh, I just hit my microphone. That whole night just literally really solidified me like understanding that all religion is any religion that anyone believes, or even like anybody's spirituality, is like a person that's trying to cope and explain their environment around them and understand like themselves, right? So
Right.
like I don't necessarily think any religion is wrong. I don't necessarily think anybody's beliefs, unless they're like obviously hurting someone else or just being like negative in general, like positivity forever, right? And also just being a generally good person. But at most, like at least main religions that people believe and follow is centered around loving like yourself and loving other people and treating people good. And I think when I realized that, I just really didn't like the idea of religion at all anymore, because I don't like the separation.
Right.
I like the idea that we can all understand things in our own way, and it doesn't have to be categorizing us or separating us. If you want to identify with a religion, that's completely fine, and I have nothing against that. I just don't personally identify with any religion. I like to take pieces from everything that I
Yes.
resonate with. If I resonate with it, then I hold it true, you know? And
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the main reasons why I also left Christianity. I left a little bit earlier than you, probably like around 8th grade, but I realized how much anxiety it gave me to feel like I was constantly doing something wrong, like
Yeah.
something that like was not abiding by these certain rules, or having a thought or a belief that wasn't in the same, like wasn't being accepted by the group at large. And so feeling like, oh, if I'm feeling restricted, I feel like that's not the right way I need to feel, and it gives me more anxiety to stay here than to just like find, like, carve my own path kind of. So
Yeah.
I can totally relate to that, and I definitely agree with that. uh,
The cousin I was telling you came to my birthday party when I was younger, Molly. Um she's a lesbian, and I've known that since I was really young. Like
mm,
I remember being probably like 10 or 12 years old, and my dad being like, hey, just so you know, like your cousin's gay. I just wanted to talk to you about it, let you know, because I think she had brought one of her girlfriends to our family Christmas. And I was like, yeah, I know. That was
You're
my
like,
answer. I was like, yeah, I know. And then I love her so much. She, like I said, is like one of my people that's in my core memories that has always been there for me and loved me and like lifted me up. So when I was also like learning more about Christianity and after I had gotten baptized, I just remember my church not being super
that's exactly what put me off too.
like accepting towards that or understanding. And I'm like, I just don't, that's not, not no to
Right.
that. And
Yep.
also
Yep.
being someone who is different or outside of the norm seems to irritate a lot of people who are Christian. And that's frustrating for me too, because it's just judgmental and it's not,
Right.
it's negative.
It's like it triggers them. And I'm now to the point where me triggering someone no longer really bothers me, but it's still them putting forth like such forceful negative energy towards people that they just don't
And honestly,
like.
I said Christian people, but it has nothing to do with Christian people.
Right.
It
It's
literally
just
just has to do with,
it tends to lean that way.
I know. And
That
I like to believe there are people out there who are Christian who are accepting. And I hope there are, because I know that the God or the spirit or the creator that I believe in is the same as theirs. It's
100%.
just, they just believe
I
it in a different set of rules and way that I don't always resonate with. But yeah.
agree. To each their own, you know. I ain't gonna knock it, but
But yeah, after I left Christianity completely, after my senior year, sorry, I always
yes, back on track.
I was like, notes, the notepad is reminding me to speak.
Mhm.
I did really start using other psychedelics to kind of experiment with, like mushrooms and acid. And then
Because you did acid first, right?
I did acid first. I had a bout of experimentation with MDMA.
I have
It
never
is,
done, so I will have to have an episode about it because I have never done.
it's one of my favorite things I've done. It's one of the most tricky relationships that I have with a substance, probably. Well, maybe not the most tricky, but it's just tricky. And it, I guess when I used it, like frequently, it was very tricky, and it's not very good for your brain in many ways. We can go into that when we talk
Definitely.
about it.
We'll have a whole episode about it because
Yeah, it's, I would love to inform people about like,
yeah, because I feel like a lot of people are so scared about that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
you can be safe and do whatever you're doing in a safe way. You just
Right.
have to have moderation, and you have to be educated about what you're doing and make sure you're
Right.
taking safety precautions, testing your substances, things
Being
like
with
that.
people you trust.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing for
People
me.
trust. We,
Okay, wait. Speaking of that, getting arrested.
oh
I've
yeah,
never been arrested. So tell me,
yeah.
what
So
happened? What did you have?
that happened to me when I was 18 years old. It happened a couple of days after my high school graduation. My dad was still in town for it. That was amazing that he was there, because for once in my life, I felt like he did something to help me. No, I'm just kidding. Not for once in my life, but he did really step up in that time to like help calm things down, because it was ridiculous. And I got arrested because my house got raided.
I
And
remember this. I literally remember this happening.
I got in trouble. I ended up getting in trouble for possession of marijuana.
Which is like, for those who don't know who are listening from other states, that's like getting caught with crack
You
in
get
South
a
Dakota.
felony if you have over 2 ounces. And because the people who were in charge of the investigation decided to lump the entire amount of weed that they found in the house together and then charge each person with that amount, instead of charging each person with the amount they had in their actual living space, I got charged with 2 ounces, which is a felony. Luckily, I was able to use my suspended imposition in South Dakota, did a little bit of time in the good old Lawrence County Jail, and then I don't have a record now.
Damn it.
So,
Amen. Thank God.
no,
Jesus
I'm all
Christ.
tough and stuff. No, just kidding. But it was really hard to go through that when I did go through that. Like, I joke about it now, but
I remember that being a very pivotal time in your life, because I remember I had met with you not too far before that, just because of like senior year shenanigans. I'm sure we were smoking together. And then it was when you guys were living kind of near the college, right?
we lived we did live by the college after we got in trouble. For a while
Okay.
we lived with Tyler's mom, and then we got an apartment by the college. Before, when we got in trouble, we lived with some roommates like in
In
Mountain
house,
Shores.
right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I totally remember. Yes, I remember that. And then with after that, I remember, I can't remember where or what it was. I think maybe we were
I
hanging.
remember hanging out with you.
Yeah, I remember after the fact because you were like, I got arrested, and I was like, dude, what? I don't know if we were just smoking together or we
Oh,
were with TJ or something. I don't remember.
probably
He was a
that.
very like he was a large reason why we were around each other as much as we were, I
Yeah,
think.
I think that's
But definitely I remember just you before that, and you had kind of like these plans for yourself. I just remember something that you had planned got kind of disrupted, whether it was like going to school or something happened where like your plans were no longer your plans.
it's probably just moving to Colorado, I'm sure. That's something me and Tyler wanted. I don't know. I don't really specifically remember, but
I
around
just
that time, so after graduation, whatever, I graduated high school, like I was good at school when I was in school, blah blah. We
Mhm.
ended up living in South Dakota because we had to be there for a certain amount of time to like deal with all that stuff, and we had no money because we had to pay a lawyer. So we were just working at like Terry Peak. I worked at Perkins, and like it was cool because I got to snowboard and stuff. I still had a good time. Like I
Right.
don't know. Honestly, it's probably kind of good that all that stuff happened to me like at that time in my life because I didn't have a lot of responsibilities. I was pretty resilient still to like, I
Right.
don't know. I feel like for some reason I feel like the older I get, the less this is probably true. The less I like change. Like it's
Mm,
harder and harder every time. But I'm trying to fix that. And like I think a lot
right.
of that is just your mindset around stuff.
Yeah.
But
In our
so
youth.
during that time, yeah, we just worked. And like uh let's see, in 2017 I want to say I went to Peru. Yeah, that makes sense. 2017 I went to Peru because I think I moved to Colorado in 2017. I'm pretty sure.
Think so because you guys came back to get married, right?
Yeah, we came back in 2019 to get
Yeah.
married.
Okay.
um well, to have our wedding. I think, yeah, I moved in 2017 to Colorado because I think I've been here for that much time. That makes sense. I'm just like looking at my camera roll right now. Yeah, 2017. So the beginning of 2017, well, not the beginning, but April of 2017, we went to Peru. And what kind of prompted all that was like, I don't know how it even really all came together, but me and Tyler both started hearing and reading because we were at that time, like I think both of us were listening to like a lot of different podcasts and things of that nature. Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts,
Mhm.
Ram
'Cause you gave me
Dass.
that book for I
Yeah,
graduated in 2016, and you gave me
I
the
gave you Be Here Now, didn't I?
yes, yes, you
Yeah.
did. And that was a very also impactful book for me.
So
Um,
the crazy thing about that book too is my dad is the one who first introduced me to that book when I was so young. And he was like, yeah, this is cool. There's cool art in here. And I was like, yeah, whatever. You're just weird old hippie. And then
yeah, you're like, okay, dude.
that's why, as hard as my relationship is with him, sometimes I do like understand and realize everything has meaning. But yeah, so we started like kind of, I don't know, I think we were reading different and listening to like a combination of all these people, different things. But I started watching YouTube videos also about this one girl, Ariana Joy, her specific experience with ayahuasca. I don't really know what her stance on it is now, but at that time that was really impactful for me listening to her. And ayahuasca is it's DMT, but it has an inhibitor with it that causes the experience to last longer. It's made out of the ayahuasca vine and tricuna root, I want to say. Oh, it's 111 right now.
Right. And I had, oh my God. And when I texted her, you guys, when I was telling her I was excited, it was 11:11, and then she got it at 12:12 her time. So the universe is really working wonders for us today. It's telling us new beginnings, you're on the right path. anything in sequence like that, like 1 2 or 1 2 3 4, that always tells me that like, and I was born at 12 12, so that's like a very important number to me.
My
Yeah. And then 1 1 1 or 1 1 1 1 is always like, just, it's the beginning of the number sequence, so it's like new beginnings, great things coming, so it's a good sign.
yes.
But I've never done ayahuasca. So just hearing about your experience with it briefly, because we talked about it a little bit when I came to visit in 2020 during
Yeah.
COVID. And we had a good connection on just kind of, because you had told me about it previous to that, but you haven't really, or you weren't in the, you weren't understanding, or you haven't digested at the first time we talked about it, what had really been like, what was going on during that trip, because I know that it was a lot for you to kind of take in at one time.
There
And then
was,
you kind of expanded on it a little more, but briefly touch on your experience with that and what it kind of taught you.
so I would love to like go into more detail about this. I think the biggest thing, like, and the thing I could impact the most people that I could share about it is like, you can really do anything that you put your mind to. I was a broke like teenager that wanted to go to Peru to do this experience, and not because it's a drug, but because I'm literally shaking right now.
I know, I got goosebumps.
Not because it's a drug, but because it's so helpful. It's been so impactful for me, and I'm constantly reintegrating the lessons that I learned there. I want to go back actually. I don't know when that's going to happen. I'm just kind of planting that seed to see, but like it was really hard. If you look up any experiences, or once we talk about my experience, people can understand more what I mean by that. But
You have to be ready to
really
face
put work
things.
in. There's a
Right.
lot of work before, during, and
Right.
after, so much work after.
Right. There's like the physical preparation,
It's literally,
all of that.
yeah, physical preparation for your body, your mental preparation, and then like afterwards, I think if you do it right and if you have the right intention around it, you should understand either doing something like that is going to give you like literal mental health problems if you don't deal with the lessons that you need to integrate, or you have to be ready to
Face it.
be on a path of like growth for the rest of your life, and be reintegrating lessons for the rest of your life, and facing yourself and saying like, what is inside me that's holding me back? What do I need
Like
to change?
you can never look at yourself the same,
No,
in a
you're never,
sense of like, there's a lot of room for improvement.
you'll never understand the world the same, or like your connection to other people. And doing DMT and ayahuasca has been just so influential to me around that. Like, it is so crazy it's like there's a whole it's so crazy to me that some people don't know, like, believe, I'm like talking with my hands so much, believe that there is this external world that you can't see that exists, that like influences you, the energies. Just because scientists can't measure our like energetic chakra fields, how they transfer to other people, things like that, doesn't mean they don't exist.
Right. It's like,
All
not everything can be
spiritual, like,
so logical.
stuff, yeah, all the spiritual like hoorah stuff that people is like, oh, that's just witchcraft or whatever.
Exactly.
I don't know about that.
Right. It's like, maybe it is, but
Maybe
doesn't mean it's not real.
I know, right?
I know, like, okay, that's all right. Like, leave all the magic to me then. See ya.
But yeah, so doing that, I think ayahuasca really just jump started like my spiritual journey for sure. Really understanding that you're reintegrating lessons all the time is the biggest thing though. And it doesn't just have to do with me doing ayahuasca. It's literally me reintegrating lessons constantly from all like aspects of my life. And yeah, it was super influential. I would love to talk about it more.
Yeah, we'll have a whole episode on like multiple things that we were touching on.
I know, we can make some notes afterwards.
Other than all of that, I know that there's more to you than spirituality. So what do you feel like you're constantly, or not constantly, currently kind of working on within yourself? Tell us just a little bit about your life outside of that. I know that you travel a lot. just what you're working on internally, externally. She does have a business, you guys, so it's Cosmic Connections with a K,
Yes.
right?
Cosmic
Both have
Connections,
K's, right?
and like my Instagram, I think is Cosmic Connections Art, but my Etsy is up too. There's only one listing right now. I was just with my niece and nephews for the past 10-ish days or so. So I've been on pause for a minute, but I'm about to upload some things on
Yes.
there.
So tap in with her. But other than that, give us the spiel. What are you kind of working on within yourself, without yourself? And then kind of just about your life and what you enjoy doing, and just kind of tap in with us.
So right now, main things that I'm working on is running my business. I want to go back to school for graphic design. Last year in the fall or like summer, end of summer, I joined a group called the Radiate Positivity Project. It's a project of about 18-ish people, maybe 20 people now, from all over the US. We pass out stickers at festivals and events. I really love going to festivals, listening to music of all different
The
sorts.
headbanger, y'all. She
I
gets
love
into
all
it.
music. Music is so awesome. I do like some EDM headbanging stuff, but like an artist that recently I've listened to, do you know Tame Impala?
Yes, love.
Oh, so groovy. So
So
groovy.
groovy. I know.
Show was so
My all-time favorite's always going to be Janae Aiko.
yes, I
Very
know.
fitting for my
Yes.
in
Oh,
my own world.
yeah.
But continue.
Um, so yeah, music festivals and stuff like that. We pass out stickers. I started being a graphic designer for their team, and I do post on their social media page. That's been really awesome, and then kind of like has inspired me to go to school for graphic design because I just really enjoy it. I was already kind of considering it and like taking classes last semester. This semester I didn't take classes because I just needed a break, but I took some classes last semester. I'm gonna go back to school in the fall, probably. Just looking for a program right now that's gonna be good for me. Um, it's hard because I travel a lot. Like you were
Yes,
saying, I
you guys,
travel.
she
So
travels all the time. Beautiful
we
things.
we travel all over. We travel in the US, we travel outside of the country. I'm trying to also maybe start doing a blog about our traveling a little
No,
bit. We'll
she
see.
will start doing a blog, and I'm going to force her to.
No,
So
I
expect
want
it
to.
in the future. Travel blog.
We're we're working on it. So I have a lot of content. I take a lot of photos. I should really just get a nicer camera. Um,
Yeah, you should.
but yeah, I need to post some of that stuff. Traveling has had a huge impact on me because it just has really opened my eyes to other cultures and like I don't know. I think it's really important. I think if you want to do it, you can do it. It's
Right.
expensive sometimes, but it doesn't have to be.
I think that the really important us growing up where we grew up, I think traveling and going other places,
My
even if
fa-
for a short period of time, because I've bounced around. No one knows where I live at any point in time. Like by the time someone figures out where I'm at, I'm somewhere else. So, and you're the same with traveling, just like never knowing where you're gonna be.
oh,
Um,
doing stuff. That's like part of the reason I want to do the graphic design thing because I need to have a job that is moldable to like my lifestyle, which is not being in one spot.
Right. Yes. And I think us being from Spearfish, it's so important for us to go to those places and see those types of people because it is so sheltered there. And there's two types of people like me and you, which is like maybe 10 of us at any given time. And then the rest of the group at large. Given it is better now, but when we
Yeah,
were growing up, it was very, very different.
it has changed
Um,
a lot, but
very,
I agree.
very polar, very one way or the other.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's traveling has definitely for you been a great experience, I think, in expanding just your viewpoint, like your worldview.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think it's also more recently, me and Tyler are going to Germany this
Mm-hmm.
fall. So I'm excited for that. And it'll be cool because we're both German. So it's kind
Hey,
of
there you go.
connecting back to your roots a bit.
Right, that'll be really interesting too. Just because
Yeah.
you guys haven't been.
To Germany. No, we went to Europe, but we went to France, uh, Belgium, and the Netherlands, to Amsterdam, and to Rome in Italy.
Yeah, because I remember you guys went. because that was your honeymoon, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
Um, so
And then
anything else that you're working on within yourself or that you learned from traveling, anything like that?
I think honestly, the biggest like thing that has impacted me is my uh not battle, but my ongoing work with my mental health. Um, I never really was like a depressed or anxious child, but in my adulthood, I have had depression and anxiety and a lot of struggle with my mindset and like limiting self belief. And I think that it really, really makes an impact how you think about yourself, what you say. And it's really hard sometimes because you just don't know what you need to do to get yourself like out of that funk. But over the past, I guess, 2 years, about almost really since TJ passed away, that was a really pivotal point for me. Um, I've been doing a lot of work and it's all starting to like make sense in my head why things happened the way they happened and like things feel like they're coming to fruition, which is really cool. Um, it's taken a lot of work, but
Yeah. And it's crazy because
I've had a
we,
lot of support.
yes, and we briefly tapped in together, I want to say like March 2020, which for those who know TJ, he passed in October 2020. And
Yeah.
so to me, it was almost like such a blessing that we were able to tune in with each other before that time came,
Oh yeah.
because I feel like we have always been connected through him. But the fact that we spent that week together just in Colorado with you, staying with you, it like really made us realize like we hung out like maybe 3 4 times prior to that,
Yeah.
and maybe like twice one on one, you know, and like a handful of times we had only seen each other. And then we just felt so comfortable. Like, yeah, she felt comfortable enough to let me stay in her house for a week. And like we had, you know, like this is just us roughing it from Chicago. And it was like a beautiful time for us to connect. And it didn't feel like I was staying with someone I didn't know that well.
Yeah.
And so I was really happy that we were able to connect in that way before October rolled around and that happened, because I felt like we really were able to kind of like support each other from a distance. I think everyone kind of like came together and came apart during that time, just trying to process like and grieve through it. But I do feel like it is TJ brought together a lot of people in a lot of beautiful ways, and through his passing as well, I feel like he brought together me with you even more, and me with my friend Brittany even more. And I feel like a lot of us just like reconnected and like held together because of our connection with him, or through him rather.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. TJ was super influential for me. After TJ passed, I started taking medication to treat my depression and anxiety, which really helped me um like jumpstart going to the gym, tracking what I was eating, really working on my mindset. And I can't remember who said this, but someone at his uh celebration of life said that TJ always left you feeling better about yourself than you like after you hung out with him than you did before you were
Mhm.
around him. You know, he just always impacted people positively in that way and like
Yeah.
hyped you up about yourself and like was fun to be around. And I think I've really been trying to like embody that, but I've also been realizing that you really can't do that if you are not good with yourself. It starts with you taking care of yourself and your mindset. So those are the main things I suppose that I'm working on. We're yeah, traveling more, continuing to work on mindset and growing my business and creating my
Integration.
life in a way that works for me and that I can experience things in the way that I want to. And I think I also am just realizing like there's a lot that I can share that people can relate to. And even if you don't and you want to listen anyways, cool. But I think it'll be awesome to like have this platform to just converse about things that actually matter and at least to me.
Right.
Probably
Like, yeah,
somebody else.
it's subjective, but I feel like we also have very, like when you and I are around people and we have a conversation, because even when like Trey was with us, it would be very like they're just listening to us because we just bounce off each other very well.
Mhm.
And we just are able to, I don't know, it's so weird. We have such this weird connection that I've never been able to explain, but it's so weird, you guys. Like I literally
Oh,
don't have words for it.
there's something else about this that's really interesting. So
Yes.
I think I've told you this, but my good friend Simone is your
Mhm.
doppelganger.
Yes, I
Completely.
remember this.
And I met Simone when I was in Peru doing ayahuasca. So Simone was at the airport that we were at, and the flight was like delayed, and they were speaking in Spanish like really fast. So it was like hard to kind of like figure out what was going on. I saw her, she was kind of like looking around and stuff. Tyler saw her, and I was like, I bet we're like going to the same place. I bet she's going to do ayahuasca. And I like asked her, and she was like, yeah, I'm going to do ayahuasca. And I was like, oh, are you going to Dream Glade? And she was like, yes, I'm going to Dream Glade. That's the center we were at. And it was just really interesting. She's like near and dear to my heart. I have not spoken to her in a little while. She has a baby. She's very busy, and she lives in Vancouver, Canada. So I can't, like, it's hard for me to go see her and stuff. I've been intending to, but with COVID and stuff, it's just like you can't get into Canada. They're strict. But anyways, regardless, she's a lot like you. She was there for me during a time when I was super vulnerable. And it felt like she was literally like of the same spirit as you, like cut from the same exact
I
cloth.
got goosebumps when you said that. So maybe she's
Yeah,
like my
she
little
has a
other
twin
half.
too, which is really interesting.
Which is it is very interesting because every time like there's more people that tell me like they've never seen someone that looks like me before, just like I just had interesting features, you know.
Yeah.
And so when you told me that and you showed me her picture, I was like, dude, that's actually fucking crazy because it's like I don't have a celebrity doppelganger like a lot of people are like, oh, I kind of look like this person, you know. And I'm like, similar with you though. I feel like you don't like I don't know anyone that looks like you either.
I have no idea what I look like.
You look like Noel. That's all that matters. But yeah, I remember you telling me that. And it's just crazy that it wasn't just like you're at a random place. It was like you were in a very
I
impactful
intended to be there.
place.
I
Right,
definitely
exactly.
was intending to be in that place.
It was like maybe the universe like needed me to be there with you, but just had to send like a
Her
bootleg
instead.
version,
I
right?
don't know.
Like here's the other version of her. Just as good, just different.
Yeah.
Same person, different font.
Different font. That's funny. No, that's great. It's really, yeah, it's really interesting, our relationship. I agree. It's crazy how we have been connected. And I do feel very comfortable. I also feel like sometimes I'll be texting you something and you're like, yeah, I know, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, like okay,
I
what?
had a feeling you were feeling this way. And I'm like, of course.
Literally. Yep. And then like all the readings and stuff that we do, yours are very accurate as well. She pulled a card before we started and she'll have you explain it because I don't, you know, a
So
bit.
the card I pulled is it's this oracle deck is like earth warriors, so it's all different, like I don't know, deities from like mostly indigenous cultures that are in this oracle card. But the card is Aloha Keakua, which is a song that Nako and Medicine for the People sing that is just was really impactful for me at a time when I was like first experimenting with psychedelics. But the card says, Aloha Keakua, the divine is love, the supreme being from which all life emanates, manifests a blessing for you. So
This is a blessing.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I think that, I don't know, it's also interesting because the card, I don't know if you're going to put a video up, but I'll just show it
Yeah,
in case.
I'll put the video up.
There's like a sun and a moon, which I feel like for me represents yin and yang, which has been super like influential concept in my life this past year, because I think everything has to have balance, like light, dark, all of it's important. All the lessons I'm grateful for, thankful for, and like I'm constantly reminding myself to like try to stay in that balance. And then I have the butterfly in the middle there at the top, and that's the same logo that I chose for my art business. So it's just really cool that I pulled this card. There's also like a third eye in the middle of the person's head.
It's the artwork on those cards are beautiful. I
Yeah.
remember I used them when I was there.
If anybody's interested, this is the deck. It's called Earth Warriors Oracle.
Earth Warriors Oracle.
Alana Fairchild. I don't know.
Her artwork is always really, really awesome.
Yeah,
She has some other decks that are really cool too. And the explanations.
Oh, they're so long. They're like pages long.
Right.
So.
And they're so accurate too. They're very interesting.
It's really cool because I think like, I don't know, with Oracle cards, like usually you're getting positive feedback, which is nice for people if they're like don't want to do tarot, or it's hard to read.
Right. Yeah. Tarot is very fucking like, here, bitch.
Yeah. And it's hard. I think it's hard sometimes to do on yourself. It can be intimidating to do it on yourself. It's easier, I think, sometimes for other people to interpret. When you say a word and it sounds like you're saying it wrong,
or when you write it too much and then it starts to look wrong.
Okay, yeah. Anyways,
same way.
It's easier, yeah. But Oracle cards are really cool because I don't know, especially this deck, I feel like the explanations, I can just like really connect them to different parts of my life easily, and I don't get the same card a lot, which is cool. I don't know.
Cool. Right. You have any last words? Any last words?
Any last words?
Or what is it? The Voldemort when he's like, the boy who lives has come to die. I keep seeing videos of people doing that shit and it's stuck in my head 24/7. But anyways, anything else you want to say to end?
I just hung out with kids for 9 days and decided to cut my bangs this morning.
Hey, they look good though. I was like, my
last words are just like, I'm excited to be here. Everyday positivity. And yeah, be kind to yourself. We're gonna talk more. Let us know if there's something that I talked about that you're interested in hearing more about, or let us know if you hate my voice or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, shut the fuck up, actually.
Let us know if you hate my voice.
What's your Instagram username so that people who are listening?
My art Instagram is Cosmic Connections Art, and my regular Instagram is Wildflower WLDFLWR Noella NOELA.
And y'all know we do have a new page for the podcast. That's just Modestly Metaphysical. No anything, just Modestly Metaphysical. And then my new username is mind.body.kara. And so that's us. And we're in this bitch now together. So
I hope you guys like our voices together, because here we go.
Yeah, here we go. We're gonna keep going even if you guys don't like it. So
we're gonna talk about stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna get deep into it. So we're raw dogging life here. So
oh my gosh, I love you.
All right, I love you. I love you all listening. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to us.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Goodbye and adios.